All right, so we've got a pretty hefty stack of readings here you sent over
Yeah.
on relationships, family, and the legal landscape facing men in the UK.
hmm
Some pretty intense stuff about the challenges guys are up against these days.
It seems you've been doing a lot of reading on the difficulties that men are facing these days,
Yeah.
particularly men who are interested in traditional relationships and feel like maybe the system is stacked against them a little bit.
Yeah, spot on. It's like the ground rules have shifted,
hmm
and a lot of guys are feeling lost.
Yeah.
Divorce rates are sky high, and then we've got stories like Jake's losing custody and getting financially drained after his divorce.
Right.
Makes you wonder, how did we get here?
Yeah. Jake's experience, as this book points out, sadly isn't unique. A lot of the sources that you sent are saying that family courts
Yeah.
often favor mothers, especially in custody disputes. And this leaves a lot of fathers feeling powerless. And they're arguing that this shift stems from a societal move away from traditional family structures and values, and that this is due to the influence of feminist ideals and what some are calling cultural Marxism.
Okay, hold on. Cultural Marxism. For those of us not up on the lingo, what's that all about?
Essentially, it's a term used to describe the perceived influence of Marxist ideology on culture and institutions. Some argue that it's led to a shift away from traditional values and towards a more individualistic and egalitarian society. Of course, this is a complex topic with different interpretations, but it's a recurring theme in the materials you've shared.
Got it. So we're seeing a shift away from traditional roles, and some guys are struggling to adapt. And it's not just about custody battles. This whole discussion about STIs with rates going through the roof adds another layer of complexity to finding a partner for a long-term monogamous relationship.
That's a major point that a lot of these sources are raising. They are linking the rise in STIs to the sexual revolution and a more casual approach to relationships. The book stresses the importance of understanding your own sexual health, practicing safe sex, and knowing your partner's history.
Right.
It's about protecting yourself physically and emotionally.
It's like you're playing a high-stakes game and you need to be smart about it. Speaking of high stakes, the readings also delve into the financial aspects of relationships.
Yes, financial stability and responsibility are presented as crucial, both for men themselves and for attracting partners. Some sources link this back to hypergamy. The idea that women are naturally drawn to men who can provide and protect. It's presented as an evolutionary instinct, although the extent to which it applies to modern relationships is debatable.
Interesting. So even with all these societal shifts,
Yeah.
some argue that deep down those primal instincts haven't vanished.
Right, that's the argument. And this is where the sources start advocating for self-improvement. It's not just about understanding the game, but about leveling up your own playing field. They emphasize working on your finances, your career, your physical fitness, your emotional intelligence, basically becoming the best version of yourself.
So knowledge is power, but self-improvement is your weapon. Makes sense. But it can feel like an uphill battle, especially when you're constantly hearing about these societal forces working against you.
Absolutely. And that's where the concept of the covert contract comes in.
Covert contract. Tell me more about that.
It's the unspoken agreement in a relationship. The expectations that aren't explicitly discussed but influence both partners' behavior. Some sources argue that in today's world, the covert contract has become skewed, with men often putting in more effort and resources without receiving the traditional benefits of commitment and loyalty.
Ah, so it's like you're playing by a rule book that's been rewritten without your knowledge.
Exactly, and that's why the sources emphasize the need for awareness and understanding your own covert contract. It's about recognizing your needs and expectations, communicating them clearly, and ensuring a fair exchange within the relationship.
So it's like a crucial step if you want to avoid feeling used or taken advantage of.
Precisely. It's about taking control and creating a relationship dynamic that works for both partners, one that's based on mutual respect and understanding.
Okay, so we've talked about the shifting landscape, the challenges men face in this whole covert contract thing. But it's not all doom and gloom, right? There must be some positives to being a man in today's world.
Of course, and the sources do highlight those too.
Great. Let's dive into that. What are some of the brighter spots?
Well, one big positive is the increased emphasis on fatherhood. Men today have more opportunities than ever to be actively involved in their children's lives. The traditional view of the father as the distant breadwinner is fading, and there's a growing recognition of the importance of paternal involvement in a child's emotional, social, and cognitive development.
It's like society is finally waking up to the fact that dads aren't just sperm donors. They're crucial for raising well-rounded kids.
Exactly. And while the family court system still has a way to go, there are organizations actively advocating for fathers' rights, working to ensure fairness in custody battles and child support cases.
That's encouraging to hear because honestly, it can feel like the system is rigged against dads sometimes.
Absolutely. But knowing there are people fighting for fairness gives some hope. Speaking of hope, let's not forget that men today have access to a wealth of information and resources for self-improvement, like the readings you've been exploring.
Right. Knowledge is power. And these days, there's no shortage of it. But with all this talk about shifting gender roles and traditional values eroding, it can be tough to figure out what kind of man you're supposed to be.
That's a key point. The sources touch on the crisis of masculinity in the modern world. They argue that traditional masculine traits like strength, courage, and stoicism are often demonized or dismissed.
It's like being told to be strong, but not too strong, sensitive, but not too sensitive.
Mm.
It's a confusing message.
Exactly, and this can leave men feeling lost and unsure of how to navigate the world. However, the readings don't advocate for simply clinging to outdated stereotypes.
So it's not about trying to be John Wayne in a world that's moved on.
Not exactly. They suggest finding a balance between the traditional and the modern, embracing those core masculine virtues while adapting them to today's context.
Okay, so how do you strike that balance? What does healthy masculinity look like in the 21st century?
The sources emphasize being assertive, confident, and protective, but in a way that's respectful and responsible. It's about strength tempered with compassion, decisiveness paired with empathy. It's about being a leader, a provider, and a protector without resorting to dominance or aggression.
So it's about finding your own unique expression of masculinity, one that feels authentic to you and aligns with your values.
Precisely. And it's about recognizing that embracing your masculinity can actually make you a better partner, a better father, and a better man overall.
Interesting. So it's not about rejecting your masculine nature, but about channeling it in a positive and productive way.
Exactly. And that leads us to another crucial aspect highlighted in the sources, the importance of mastering your emotions.
Emotions, I thought we were supposed to be stoic and keep those things bottled up.
That's the old school approach, but the readings argue that it's ultimately harmful. They encourage men to develop emotional intelligence, to understand and manage their emotions in a healthy way.
So it's not about becoming a touchy-feely softy. It's about being in control of your emotional world.
Precisely, it's about recognizing that emotions are a natural part of being human and that learning to handle them effectively is essential for personal well-being and for building strong relationships.
Makes sense, but how do you actually go about mastering your emotions? Where do you even start?
The first step, according to the sources, is self-awareness, pay attention to your feelings, identify what triggers certain emotions, understand how your body and mind respond to different situations.
It's like becoming an emotional detective, figuring out your own personal patterns.
Exactly. Once you have a better understanding of your emotional landscape, you can start developing strategies for managing those emotions constructively.
So instead of exploding in anger or shutting down emotionally, you can find healthier ways to express those feelings.
Right. That might involve talking to someone you trust, journaling, engaging in physical activity, or practicing mindfulness techniques. It's about finding what works for you and developing a toolkit for emotional regulation.
Interesting. So emotional intelligence is all about understanding and managing your emotions. But what about expressing them, especially in a relationship? Isn't vulnerability seen as a weakness?
That's a common misconception, and the sources challenge that view directly. They argue that vulnerability is actually a strength, a key ingredient in creating deep and meaningful connections.
So opening up and sharing your feelings with your partner can actually strengthen the bond.
Exactly. It allows for greater intimacy and understanding. Of course, vulnerability doesn't mean dumping all your emotional baggage on your partner.
Right. It's not about turning into a drama queen.
Exactly. It's about choosing to share your feelings in a way that's honest, respectful, and constructive. It's about letting your partner into your inner world, which fosters trust and deepens the connection.
Okay, so being emotionally intelligent involves both understanding and expressing your emotions in a healthy way. Sounds like a crucial skill for navigating the ups and downs of any relationship.
Absolutely. And it ties into another critical aspect of relationships highlighted in these readings, communication.
Ah, yes, communication, the make it or break it element.
Exactly. And the sources emphasize that effective communication goes beyond simply talking. It's about truly connecting both on a verbal and nonverbal level.
So it's not just about what you say, but also how you say it, your body language, your tone of voice, the whole package.
You got it. And it involves active listening, truly hearing and understanding what your partner is saying, not just waiting for your turn to talk.
It's about being present in the conversation, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally.
Exactly. And it's about expressing yourself clearly and respectfully, even when discussing difficult or sensitive topics.
So it's about finding that balance between honesty and tact, assertiveness and empathy.
Precisely, effective communication is about working together to understand each other's perspectives, to find common ground, and to resolve conflicts constructively.
Okay, so communication is crucial, but let's be real. A lot of relationship conflicts boil down to one major factor: money.
Ah, yes. Finance is the elephant in the room for many couples.
What do these readings have to say about navigating the financial aspects of relationships?
They emphasize the importance of financial responsibility, both on an individual level and as a couple. It's about being smart with your money, saving for the future, and avoiding unnecessary debt.
So no more reckless spending sprees or burying your head in the sand when the bills pile up.
Right. It's about being proactive and responsible with your finances, and it's about transparency within the relationship. Open and honest communication about money is crucial for building trust and preventing resentment.
Okay, so no secret bank accounts or hidden credit
Right.
card bills.
Exactly. Honesty and transparency are key. And it's not just about individual responsibility, it's about working together as a team to manage your finances as a couple.
So it's about creating a budget that works for both of you, setting financial goals together, and support each other's aspirations.
Precisely. And it's about being willing to compromise, recognizing that you might have different spending habits and financial priorities. Finding a system that works for both partners is essential.
Makes sense. So financial responsibility, transparency, teamwork, and compromise, that's the recipe for a financially healthy relationship.
Exactly. And remember, money isn't everything, but it can definitely create stress and conflict within our relationship. Addressing it proactively and with a unified front can make a huge difference.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Emotions, communication, finances, these are all complex aspects of relationships.
They are, and they require ongoing effort, attention, and a willingness to grow and evolve both individually and as a couple.
It sounds like building a strong and lasting relationship is a journey, not a destination.
That's a great way to put it, and it's a journey that requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to embrace the challenges along the way.
Speaking of patience, that's something these readings emphasize a lot, isn't it?
It is. Patience is presented as a crucial virtue in today's fast-paced world, especially when it comes to relationships.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. What does patience actually look like in the context of a relationship? It feels like we're constantly bombarded with messages about instant gratification, swipe right, move on fast.
Yeah.
How does patience even fit into that equation?
That's the challenge, isn't it? These sources suggest we need to push back against that instant gratification mindset. They encourage men to slow down, take their time getting to know a woman before jumping into anything serious. It's about building a genuine connection, not just chasing fleeting excitement.
So it's about quality over quantity, about depth over speed.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that a truly meaningful relationship takes time and effort to develop. And it's about respecting a woman's pace as well. Not everyone is ready to dive headfirst into a committed relationship, and that's okay.
Rushing things can actually backfire, right? Make her feel pressured or even scared her off.
Absolutely. Patience is also about respecting boundaries and understanding that building trust and intimacy takes time. Trying to force things or move faster than she's comfortable with can damage the connection before it even has a chance to grow.
Okay, so patience is about recognizing that good things take time, about respecting her pace and not letting that instant gratification mentality sabotage something real. But let's be honest, being patient can be tough, especially when you're excited about someone. Any tips for navigating that?
The sources suggest starting with self-awareness. Ask yourself, what triggers my impatience? Is it a fear of missing out, a need for control, or maybe past relationship experiences that make you anxious about things moving too slowly?
It's about understanding those underlying drivers, those buttons that get pushed make you want to rush things.
Right. Once you've identified those triggers, you can develop strategies for managing them. Maybe that means consciously reminding yourself to slow down, focusing on enjoying the present moment rather than constantly looking ahead. Or perhaps it involves talking to a trusted friend or mentor for perspective.
And it's also about communicating with your partner,
Yeah.
right? Being open about your desire for a long-term relationship, but also expressing your willingness to let things unfold organically.
Absolutely. Honest and open communication is crucial. Letting her know that you're in it for the long haul, that you respect her timeline, can go a long way in building trust and easing any anxiety she might have about the relationship moving too fast.
It's like saying, I'm here for you, and I'm willing to let this develop naturally.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the overarching theme we've been exploring, awareness, whether it's understanding the societal forces at play, recognizing the terms of your own covert contract, mastering your emotions, or practicing patience. It all comes down to being present, informed, and intentional in your approach to relationships.
Awareness is like that superpower that allows you to navigate the complexities of relationships with clarity and purpose.
Exactly. And remember, this journey of awareness and self-improvement isn't just about finding a partner. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. It's about building a life that you're proud of, a life that attracts the kind of woman who shares your values and enhances your journey.
It's about becoming the man you're meant to be, attracting the woman you deserve.
That's a great way to put it. So to all the men out there who are seeking a strong, fulfilling, and lasting relationship, remember, knowledge is power. Self-improvement is key, and awareness is your superpower.
And don't forget, patience. Good things take time.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it's provided valuable insights and tools for navigating the complex world of modern relationships.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep believing in the power of strong, healthy, and fulfilling relationships.